Hello, so today I've literally just thought of doing this video. Well, I wanted to film this video for a long time, but I just never got around to doing it. I just never felt that it was right, but as this week is National Epilepsy Awareness Week, I wanted to basically share my story of living with the condition. So yeah, I hope you like this video. Please like, subscribe, and let's get started. So I've shared like a few things on Instagram about this, but I've never spoken about it on YouTube. Maybe like in the offhand sort of comments, like I've spoke about it in my coronavirus vaccine video. But yeah, I've never done like a whole video dedicated to it. And you know what, I don't really know why. I guess I just never thought it was really needed, but as of this week is National Epilepsy Awareness Week, and yeah, I just thought I'd share my story because I know when I was first diagnosed when I was 15, there was like no videos like this on YouTube, and it was something I really needed at the time. There was only one YouTuber that used to speak about it called Becca Rose, which doesn't even do YouTube anymore, so yeah, I thought I would just share my story because I know on YouTube all you ever see of epilepsy is just like videos of people having seizures, which obviously is not the most helpful thing in the world. Like, it does educate you, but like it doesn't actually show you what it's like living with it like on a daily basis. First of all, both my mum and my older brother have epilepsy, so I did grow up like knowing what a seizure looked like and knowing they had to take medication every day, like, so I was kind of aware of it as a child. So yeah, my older brother was diagnosed like a younger age, so he was diagnosed around like 7 or 8. So yeah, I was always kind of like aware of it. So I'm 4 years younger than my brother, so yeah, I've always known he's had it, and like my mum's always spoken about it. But my mum hasn't had a seizure in like 20 or so years, so yeah, I've never seen her have one, but I've seen my brother have them. So yeah, so that's how I kind of got my knowledge about it, really. So yeah, I was also used to going to appointments with my brother and things like that, so yeah, so I've always had some kind of knowledge about it just because of my family history. And then when I was 15 years old, I was at a friend's house for a sleepover, and obviously I literally had no sleep as you do at sleepovers, so I had about 3 hours sleep that night, and the next morning I had a full-blown seizure. So obviously when a seizure happens to you, like, you don't really know it's happening, and especially I was kind of like in and out of sleep, so I just remember waking up and I had a really big headache. I was like, this is really odd, I don't get headaches, and like it was like pounding. I hadn't been drinking or anything, I was only like 14, 15. So yeah, I was like, why do I just have this horrible headache, and like my whole body really hurts if I'd done like a workout, but at that time I never did workouts or anything. I was like, why does everything hurt? And then my friends were like, Kira, are you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine, but like obviously I wasn't, but I didn't know what happened to me. And then I went inside, my friend's mum was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just didn't really know what was going on. And then my mum was on the phone, like my mum had rung my friend's mum, and my friend's mum was like, oh, Kira, your mum's on the phone. I was like, why is my mum on the phone? And yeah, she was on the phone. She was like, Kira, are you okay? And I was like, oh, I've got a headache. And then she was like, no, Kira, you've had a seizure. I'm like, what? Like, as I said, no one had actually said the words to me until my mum did on the phone. So I just burst into tears. I was like, oh my god, like I didn't realise it had happened or anything. She was like, Kira, it's fine, you know what it's like it happens to you, you don't realise, because like seizures can like make you unconscious. So yeah, so apparently what happened was I was in the tent in the morning, it was like 7 in the morning, and one of my friends was awake at the time, and luckily she was actually trained in first aid, and she obviously saw me like shaking, but I had managed to sort of shake myself onto the side, onto like my like sides. I was in recovery position anyway, so I didn't need to be moved or anything. And my lips went all blue, and I was just like shaking like you do when you have a seizure, and it only lasted like a few minutes, so there was no need to call an ambulance or anything. So yeah, after my mum had rung me, she obviously picked me up. Well, I think because my friend lives quite far away from where I live, my friend's mum drove me to a close appointment with my mum, then we went straight to the hospital after that. So but I do remember when I was in my, like, I just didn't feel alright. I had this horrible headache, which I don't get headaches, so I just knew I wasn't right. And then I got in my friend's mum's car, and I just threw up in the car as well. I don't know whether it was just anxiety or side effect of a seizure, because like seizures can make you throw up as well, or like wet yourself sometimes and things like that. So because when you have a seizure, you have like no control over your body. So yeah, I threw up in my friend's mum's car, which was just so embarrassing. Then got in the car with my mum, and then we went to the hospital and obviously explained I just had my first seizure, and they just basically ask you like, have you had one before? And obviously I hadn't, that's why we went to the hospital the first time around. And they obviously ran a few blood tests and things like that, blood pressure, all that, and obviously there was nothing wrong with me. And they were like, well, and they were like, is there a family history of epilepsy? And obviously my mum was like, yes, I have it, and also my older brother has it. So yeah, that was basically that. And they were like, we can't diagnose you with epilepsy until you have like at least one more seizure. So obviously that was in like the June of 2014. So I was like, right, I've just got to wait around to have another seizure now, which was not fun. I think that's where a lot of my anxiety started, to be honest. So yeah, I was fine the rest of that summer. I didn't have any other tests, I can't remember anyway. And then in the following December of that year, again, I'd gone to a family party. I stayed at my nan's house, and me and mum like shared a bed. And again, didn't have much sleep because we'd been out late and stuff. I had like a couple of drinks, but like I wasn't like drunk or anything. Yeah, so obviously I shared a bed with my mum, and again I woke up the next morning, my whole body really hurt. Like as I said, it's the only way I can describe it is if you've like run a marathon. I've never run a marathon, but it's like if you imagine the pain your body would be in the next day, it's just like that. Like your arms feel heavy, your legs feel heavy, you get a really horrible headache. So I woke up the next morning just not feeling right again, and she was like, mum's like, you're friend of the seizure. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. So obviously it was like 5 days before Christmas as well, so I was just so like not in a good headspace that Christmas, I remember. And obviously we rang the doctors up again, and they were like, right, you need to come in for more tests. So we went back to the hospital, and they booked me in for more scans and things like that. So the next test I remember having was I basically went into a room, and they like laid me down and put all the like electrodes around my head, and they basically had to like glue them on, which was really odd, and put like a cap over me. First of all, she just like measured my brain activity like at a normal resting level, and then the next phase of the test was that what they basically did is that I like lay down on a bed, and they had like a really bright light shining in my eyes, and what they would do is they'd make it flash like really slowly, but they'd increase the speed of the flashing. This is obviously checking for photosensitivity. So it was on, the light was like flashing for like a good 2 minutes, and I said it would get faster and faster. And then at one point I could feel my whole body shake, but I was like conscious through it, so it wasn't like a seizure, but it was just like sort of some sensitivity. Yeah, so both my mum and my dad had come to that appointment with me. My parents were split up, the lights split up at the time. So yeah, my mum left the room for that test obviously, but my dad stayed in the room. So yeah, as soon as I got the like jerk, it was kind of like down my left side, so as soon as I got that jerky, she stopped the test. She was like, okay, that's all we need to see, sort of thing. Got all these things removed, and I think I did also, no, I remember in that summer actually, after the first seizure, I did have like an MRI scan just to make sure there was like nothing in my brain that I was like wrong. But yeah, the MRI scan literally showed nothing, it just showed like a picture of my brain, so that was that. But yeah, as of in the winter time I had like another like further test for like epilepsy, like photosensitivity, and I said I did have some photosensitivity, but it didn't cause me like a full-on seizure. So yeah, then obviously I went back to the like consultant, and he was like, right, you've obviously have epilepsy because you've had 2 seizures within like 6 months, which is like quite a lot. So he's like, we're going to put you on medication. So I will get on medication now. We're going to put you on medication, and he was like, it's completely your choice, you don't have to go on if you don't want to, but obviously I think if you're on medication for epilepsy, there's like only a 40% chance of you ever having a seizure again. So I was like, you know what, both my mum and my brother are on medication, it's a no-brainer, I'm going to take it, I don't want to have a seizure again. So yes, I got prescribed with levetiracetam, which I think is what it's called, or the brand name is Keppra. So it just looks like this. I take 2 of these a day. So I take 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, and yeah. So that's based on medication I've been taking since I was 14 or 15. Yeah. No, I would have been 15, turning 16. So yeah. My diagnosis really. And yeah, since December 2014, I've never had another seizure again, which is amazing. So yeah, that's my diagnosis story. Obviously it was quite scary at the time. Like obviously I said I had some kind of knowledge around epilepsy, but I never thought it would kind of happen to me, because I'd kind of got to an older age, I thought, oh, I'm not going to have it, sort of thing. But as I said, it can be diagnosed at any age. You can be really young and get diagnosed, you can be in your adulthood and be diagnosed, you just don't know. So yeah, after I got my medication prescribed, I wasn't started on these tablets, I was started on like slightly smaller doses. I had to like build it up over like the space of a month. And the only sort of side effect I noticed with these medications is that I do sleep a little bit more on it, but do you know what, it could have just been like puberty making me more tired, I don't really know, but I do sleep quite well when I take these, so yeah, I guess that's a good thing. But yeah, as I said, I'm not aware of me ever having any more seizures, because even though they've happened in my sleep, when I wake up the next morning I knew when I'd had one, because I said everything would really hurt, I'd have a horrible headache and I'd just feel not right. No, epilepsy is caused by when the signals going like to and from your brain get disrupted, so you basically, it just sends your body into shock basically, and that's what causes a seizure. So that is what epilepsy is. There is over 40 types I read the other day, which I didn't realise there was that many. I said the traditional one, which most people assume is photosensitivity, which is like flashing lights, but again, that doesn't cause it for me. But yeah, seizures can be caused by anxiety, lack of sleep. Obviously, drugs and alcohol don't help either. Like smells can cause epileptic seizures, and also it is one of those conditions where it's completely on a spectrum. So some people might have multiple seizures a day. Some people may only have a couple in their lifetime. It's just one of those you don't really know until it happens to you, sort of thing. So yeah, that's a few facts about epilepsy. In my diagnosis, I had another sort of meeting with a nurse, which I knew from when my brother was like diagnosed. She was really nice, so I basically went to her, she asked me how my medication was going, I was like, it's all fine. And obviously where I was at the age of like almost turning 16, we had a chat about like alcohol and like contraception. So she basically said you can drink taking medication, but obviously it's advised not to drink excessively because that can increase your risk of a seizure. And obviously she was like, drugs are just a no-go, that obviously would not be good with that kind of medication. Obviously if I take like paracetamol and stuff, that doesn't affect it, but like illegal drugs, not good. So yeah, I've never done any illegal drugs or anything. And then also she did say when you are at the age where you need to take contraception, you will need to obviously tell your doctor and they can put you on the right one, because obviously certain contraceptive pills you can't take with this medication, because obviously the different chemicals will like interact with each other. But yeah, I haven't got to that stage of my life yet where I need contraception, so I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. But with my medication, I have a yearly review, so basically the doctor calls me up and it's like usually around October time, they're like, oh, can you come and just review your medication? And literally it's the same 3 questions they ask. They take my blood pressure to make sure it's not interacting with that, that's always fine. So yeah, they take my blood pressure and they're like, how's your medication going? I'm like, it's fine, I've been taking it for the past like 6 years, so if there's any issues you would have known by now. Yeah, so they asked me how my medication's going, any side effects, and as I said, because I've been on it for so long, I don't know what I'd be like off it, so I'm just like, no side effects. And then I think because I'm a woman, they're like, oh, do you need to be on contraception? I'm like, no, that's all fine. As I said, no boys on the scene at the moment, so yeah, I don't need contraception. And they do, as I said, every year they're like, oh, let us know when you do, because obviously you need to make sure it's the right contraception that won't interfere with your medication. That's basically how the medication things work. And the only way it kind of affects me, not day to day, but like it's like when you have to fill in forms for things, so forms like for tattoos, like going abroad, or even for my driving license. So all of those things, you usually get like a questionnaire saying, have you got any lifelong conditions like epilepsy, diabetes, that sort of thing. So I always obviously tick off epilepsy, and they say what medication you take, and I just list the name of it. It's never stopped me from doing anything. I think it's just more there to cover their own back, so if something did happen to me they would know about it, or like how to deal with it. So yeah, so that's what really happened. And with my driving license as well, I have to get a new one every 5 years, just so that the DVLA can check I haven't had a seizure, because you can only drive if you've been seizure free for at least a year. But luckily when I applied for my first driving licence, I had been seizure free since I was like 15, so that was no issue there. But I did really have to get a new one, because I think normal provisionals like expire every 10 years, but with people with lifelong conditions, they do, like the DVLA do ask you to like refill in your medical forms just to make sure you haven't had any more seizures, because the DVLA can take your driving licence where you've had one, so obviously it would not be safe to be driving a car if you had a seizure, so that's why you can't drive if you have had a seizure recently. But yeah, I think that is it. As I said, I just wanted to make this video to show you that like if you have just been diagnosed or you don't know anything about epilepsy, like it really doesn't change your like life perspective. Like you can still live a normal life. Like I still go out and drink like a normal 22-year-old. I still have late nights, and yeah, I still, like nothing has changed in my life just because I've got epilepsy. So the only thing that really is a bit annoying is the fact I have to put it on all my medical forms, or like my driver's license I have to wait like longer, because obviously when you apply you've got to basically fill in your details yourself about your epilepsy history, then you've got to send the forms off to your doctor, and then they've got to say to DVLA, yep, it's all fine, sort of thing. So it does take longer. As I said, like with my first provisional, obviously I applied in February because that's when my birthday is, and I didn't actually get my provisional license until like April time, so it takes them a good 2-3 months to like process it all. And with COVID it took a little bit longer as well this year around, but obviously I don't even drive at the moment, I haven't passed my test, so maybe now I've got my new provisional I'll be like, right, I can do my driving test now, but we'll see. So yeah, that's probably the one of the most annoying things about epilepsy is driving. But as I said, if you've been seizure free for at least a year, you should be fine. Just make sure your doctor signs it off and they get in touch with DVLA. But yeah, also Epilepsy Awareness Week, the colour is purple, so that's why I'm wearing this top. I've also got a very purple bruise from my corona vaccine, I don't know if you see that. But yeah, so that's fun. But yeah, that's also a reason why I got the corona vaccine earlier than most people my age, just because apparently I think with epilepsy there is a higher chance of you getting more severe like effects of corona, so that's why I got my vaccine earlier for someone of my age, which I was very grateful for. And even when I had my first vaccine, she was like, make sure you take medication, just rest, because obviously the vaccine makes you more tired, and with me being more tired it increases my risk of seizure. So, but yeah, I didn't have any seizures or anything whilst I had the vaccine, which was good, and I had AstraZeneca, so the like devil vaccine. But yeah, I said, if you're someone who's just been diagnosed, please try not to worry too much. I know that's like the worst thing to say to someone, but you can still live a very normal life if you've got epilepsy. You can still do the things you want. But yeah, you just got to be careful, and I think it's very much a lifestyle thing. Like I said, as long as you don't drink excessive amounts or do illegal drugs, you will have a very low chance of having a seizure again if you take your medication regularly. So yeah, if you haven't already, take your meds if you haven't. But yeah, I hope you like this video. I've also got a lot more free time on my hands now because I'm so nearly done with university and my work is only part-time, so that's why I'm doing 2 videos a week at the moment, which I've never really done before on this channel. But yeah, I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and if you've got any other questions about epilepsy, just comment them down below and I'll try and get back to you. But yeah, I think as well, it's really good that on Emmerdale at the moment there's a girl called Liv who has epilepsy. She got diagnosed about a year ago on the programme, and yeah, it shows her having seizures and it showed her journey of getting diagnosed. I thought they did really, really well, and they do show her seizures on the programme. Obviously it's all like fictional, but I think they've done it really well, and like it's not too like dramatic. If you wanted to watch more something like that, I would definitely recommend watching Liv's storyline on Emmerdale. But yeah, as I said, please like and subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you soon. Bye.